to say their tech chats.
Karim Baheri's official title at Meanwell is Field Apps Engineer, but all of his customers see him as the human embodiment of the travel power adapter because he can power anything, anywhere. Jim Reiser is a Sager Electronics power systems engineer with a degree in aeronautical engineering, and I'm pretty sure these two are actually using their combined expertise to create a flying suit of armor so they can look cool and save the world. They're here to tell us about Meanwell's 3+N and water-cooled solutions, which might be used in that suit. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here too.
All right, well, let's start off with what Meanwell means by 3+N products.
Okay, so Meanwell has more than 12,000 SKUs, a lot of them that easy to use, just applying the AC input and you're gonna get the DC output. But for 3+N, this is mainly using for the high power. So this kind of product mainly using the technical support team to help the customer to choose the correct system that can help to implement what they want. So this is three different products, and each one of them they doing like a special function. The first one of them, it's the modular power. Modular power means that just one power supply with AC input voltage, single phase input, and multiple output. You can get 5 volt, 12 volt, 24 volt, 48 volt output, and you can combine all of them in parallel in series. Some of them you have like a different way to connect the output and the output slots together. And we have like a different variety of the series of the modular power, but the most important two of them it's the NMB 650 watt and the NMB 1200 watt. So it's NMB 650, it's coming with 4 slots, and the 1200 coming with 6 slots. So the customer has variety. The advantage for this one, it's a lot of saving for the space inside the application. Just one power supply instead of using multiple power supply, reduce the installation time, and it's certified for medical application and the industrial application. And also since this only one power supply, so it's saving the leakage current for the entire system. A lot of feature for the NMB series. Second one here, we want to introduce this is the rack power. Rack power, it's just one U rack, and you can insert multiple power supply in the rack to get high power. This mainly using for the single phase input, and we offer from 3 kilowatt rack power up to 12.8 kilowatt rack power. And also if the customer want to go more than that, so we can connect multiple rack together in parallel. So this rack power, it's mainly using for the high power for fabrication and industrial fabrication, semiconductor applications. And the advantage of this one is just one U, and we can get like a high power. And the third product we have here, system power. System power is a little bit complicated that need helping from the technical support team because this is like a complete solution for mainly for the high power. So it's multiple units using in parallel that can provide up to 500 kilowatt. This is the CMU2. This is provide like a variety for the control and monitoring the system. So this is what we mean by three: modular power, rack power, and system power. And it's coming from an infinite number of combinations. So the customer can connect those rack power or modular power or system power with the smart controller, which is like the CMU2, or he can using with DALI or KNX controller. So CMU2 mainly using Modbus, CAN bus, and PM bus. It can be communicated with the power supply through this one. You can monitoring your system. You can see the output voltage. You can trim the output voltage. You can control the system. You can see the internal temperature. You have fully monitoring control for the power supply, and so it can be using for management and burning in system, and it's compatible with all kind of communications. Okay, so for DALI system they're mainly using for the lighting application. That to control the lighting, you can turn off, turn on the light, dim the light up and down. And KNX, it's similar to DALI, but KNX mainly using for the European country. And like a multiple kind of combination that we can using the BIC, which is the bidirectional power supply. We have like a charger and the inverter and high power with for the unit that we have the RST. It's coming with 5,000, 7.5, 10K, and 15 kilowatt. And we have also like a different power supply that coming with the SHB series coming with 10 kilowatt and 30 kilowatt.
Hey, Kareem, are there some real world applications you can share that show what the 3+N products mean?
Of course. So the first case we can share with the customer, which is the system power solution that the customer initially uh, want a system to drive a motor, and the power requirement for this one is 70 kilowatt, and wanna like a monitoring for the system to control the system, and the output voltage he needs 305 volts. And all this system it has to be single phase input. So we don't have like a single phase unit that can provide up to 70 kilowatt. So what we did, we suggest the customer to using 15 U rack and 9 racks, that each rack of them they have like the total racks inserted 36 NCP 3200-38. So that's 3200 means each power supply has 3200 watts, and 380 that means the output voltage is 380 volts. And through the MCU, the CMU2, you can adjust the output voltage, and instead of the standard unit output voltage 380, you can trim the voltage down to 305 to meet the customer requirement. And also you can, as I mentioned, that fully monitoring the system. So this was our proposal to the customer: 15U rack, NCP, and racks, and also additionally for 15U, to be easy for the customer to connect the system, we provide a circuit breaker, the main circuit breaker that can turn on and turn off the system, and also the bus bar. Bus bar to the total unit, it's combined in just two bus bar, one for positive, one for negative.
Wow, it's a lot of power.
Yeah, but Jim, you have an even higher power application that you want to talk about.
Yeah, so this particular application is grow rooms, horticultural grow rooms. Each grow room actually uses 6 of these 120 kilowatt units for a total of 720 kilowatts. They were using a 250 volt DC light and wanted to use smaller gauge wire to distribute the power to the lights. So we offered them the 380 volt SHP 10K. These power supply systems are installed in a separate room adjacent to the grow room, and each 10 kilowatt power supply actually powers 10 individual horticultural grow lights. So there's no paralleling bus bars. It's just a nice, clean, neat system. They come in with one AC feed. It feeds 2 power supplies, and then each individual power supply supplies 10 lights. So really cool application.
Yeah, exactly. So the solution was that providing 2x6 SHB 10K, each one of them, they 10,000 watt. As Jim mentioned, that they are not connected in parallel, but this is system 120 kilowatt system. So each power supply can run up to 10 arrays for the LED lighting. And the cool feature here for the SHB 10K, which is we have the PC and the RC function, so he can turn off the light and turn on the lights through remotely through the SHP, and also he can dim the light. Let's jump on the next case sharing here, which is the rack power solution. This is like pretty straightforward application that the customer wanna use for the fabrication semiconductors, that wanna use 5.2 kilowatt and 48 volt output voltage, which is gonna use the rack. But the special feature for here, the customer wanna using redundancy function. If one of the power supply damaged, so the other power supply can kick in and still providing power to the load. We suggest the customer to using the NCP 3200 with the rack power, just one rack power DHP. The rack power is able to connect up to 4 units, but with 5.2 kilowatt units, it's only the customer need to connect 3 units. Actually, 1 unit is gonna be standby, and 2 units is gonna be in service. Once any one of the unit that damaged, so the other unit is standby, it can kick in and keep the system working. The cool feature here for the NCP, which is the CAN bus protocol, you can remotely control the power supply, control the output voltage, the output current, monitoring the temperature. You can do a lot of things with the CAN bus protocol.
So Kareem, is this a N+1 configuration where the power supplies are operating in parallel, or is it different?
Exactly. It's just two power supply in service and one standby. So it's 2+1.
Understood.
in the next application here, which is the high power solution SHP-10K, just one power supply. This is a straightforward application that there is no combination from the rack power or something. It's just one power supply, 10 kilowatt to power a compressor. So the cool feature here, why we choose the SHP-10K-32, because the customer wanna using three-phase input delta connection, and the voltage range is between 250 to 450 for the input side, and needed to be 10 kilowatts. So the big feature for this one is the SHP has something it's called constant current limiting. Constant current limiting because the compressor is it has required a big load at the starting because it's absorbing too much current. So the constant current limiting that it keep pushing for 5 seconds the current, and during this time the power supply which will not shut down. So this is the cooling feature for the SHP, that the unit will not shut down during the starting because of the compressor power requirement at the starting.
Right. You see the same thing with some motor applications, correct?
Yes.
Very cool.
The second application we have here, we have like inverter solution, VIC. VIC, it's mainly using for the bidirectional power. Initially, the customer were using servo motor and with one of our power supply, and he come to us that, hey, I'm using your power supply and your power supply is shut down once I connected with the servo motor. After we investigated, as you can see on the left side here, the graph, that once he turn on the servo motor and turn off, there is a back EMF that causing the output voltage to be increased. So the power supply, we're gonna see over voltage protection, and power supply gonna shut down for over voltage protection because of this back EMF from the servo motor. So we suggest the customer to using the BIC. The BIC, if you can see on the right side from the graph here, that when the servo motor is working, the current is steady state, the output voltage is steady state, no problem. When the servo motor is back EMF, also this is gonna be uh, feedback to the grid. So as you can see here, the output voltage is stable, no peak like the one on the left side. So was the advantage for the BIC, which is using.
Very cool.
The last application we have here today, the modular power supply solution, the NMP 1K2. The application here for the blood clot medical application that using 5 volt, 12 volt, 24 volt. The 5 volt it's mainly using for to power up the controller inside the machine. The 12 volt is to power up the computer. 24 for the blood clot. And this one, it's as we mentioned, the feature for this one, it's just one power supply that's very small size, using to power up a different load requirement in just one power supply.
Hey, Kareem, how does someone create that part number? I see, the NMP 1K2, and then it's got C's and H's and this -09. How does someone get that part number created?
Yeah, if you go to our website and open the link for the NMB series, that selection tool, you're going to see how to create the part number here. So you select number of outputs. So if the customer needs something within 650, so he gonna choose 4 slots. If the customer wants something for 1200, he gonna choose six slots. So for example, let's choose 6 slots. So it's gonna pop up here 6 numbers. So first you're gonna mention that you need, for example, 5 volt and the current 10 amp. So he gonna calculate the power, it's 50, and you're gonna see like a 1 slot pop up to your system. And if you second slot, if the customer also need, like for example, 5 more again with 20 amp, and you're gonna see there is second slot, it's completed, and so on. Like if the customer wanna 12 volts, let's say 20 amp, so you're gonna see like the one slot it's more for the 12 volts. If you wanna using like 24 with 15 amp, for example, so you're gonna see the total power is 360, and you're gonna see the power supply is extended to 1200 watt, and already 2 of the units they are connected For number 4, it's 2 units, the two slots connected in parallel to able to provide 360 watt to the customer. And for example, last slot here, you can use it that 48 volt 5 amp. So here, if you go down, you're gonna see product number. It's NMB 1K2. 1K2 stands for that 1200 watt, and CC, the C it stands for 5 volt, E stands for the 12 volt, H and H is standing for the 24 volt, and K stands for the 48 volt. And dash 0404, this is means the combination between slot number 4 and 5, they are connected in parallel, so that's mean 04. So the customer gonna send this part number to Sager, and Sager they can able to provide good to the customer, and also to provide like the lead time and everything, and we can send this NMP.
Cool. So, Kareem, we've talked about a lot of high power applications. How do we get the heat out of these high power applications?
Yeah, sure. So meanwhile, offer like different cooling method for the power supply. You can cool down your power supply with different method. First one of them is the forced air. We just connect the fan with the power supply to cool down the internal component. And the second one, which is the conduction cooling. The conduction cooling means the customer he gonna attach aluminum plate to the power supply, and this aluminum plate is gonna help to dissipate the heat from the power supply. And the third method we have here today, it's the water cooling. Water cooling, which is the customer he can attach a water plate that is gonna be attached under the power supply, and this is by water flowing, it can cool down the power supply. And today we're gonna focus on the water cooling method.
Yeah. So, Kareem, can you show me what specific power supply Meanwell offers that are water cooled or liquid cooled?
Yeah, we have like a variety of the power supply that's coming with the water cooling. We have the PHP unit, UHP unit, and HEB series. So all of this series, it can be supplied with the water cooling. The customer he can purchase the water cooling from us directly, or he can like customize his own water plate. So both of them it's gonna be help those kind of series to cool down the power supply. And the feature for this one is that using the water cooling method, it's high efficient compared to the fan method. It's wide quiet operation. So using the water cooling, it's gonna make your system way quiet. And also you can control the temperature by controlling the liquid and going through the blade. So by controlling this water, so you can control the temperature range inside the power supply. So there is many feature compared to the fan and the aluminum plate. And also this is it gonna increase the lifetime of this power supply.
Wow. Good news for any Meanwell customers that are looking into liquid cooled power supplies. Not only can Sager help you design custom cold plates if necessary, but we can also help you design and pick chillers for the application as well.
Yeah.
I think I would like to see some applications for these liquid cooled power supplies.
Yes, sure. The first one of the application that you can use in one of the 3 series, it's for the RF application, which is a radio frequency application that using like one of this series to cool down the system. The second application here you can using the laser machine. That laser machine using a chiller to cool down the machine, and in the same cool down the power supply. The third application for the data center. So this also using water cooling method. And here, one of the case sharing that we have been done was the customer, like a quick example for one of our customer using water cooling power supply for welding robot. The feature for this cooling system that just one chiller using to cool down the welding robot, and also in the meantime the UHP-2500 unit.
Awesome.
So here kind of summarize what we have been in the slide, that we introduced the system power. The system power, as we mentioned, that it's mainly using for the high power application that up to 500 kilowatt. There is many feature for this one. You can has the Canvas protocol screen like the CMU tool that help the customer to monitoring the system, and the application for this one is the laser machine and motor application, LED lighting, and for high power requirement. The second one, we introduced rack power. Rack power is just rack power when you hide that using with the feature that it has redundancy feature and hot swappable features for this kind of applications, and this mainly using for the semiconductor fabrication and the battery charger application. Then we introduced the modular power, which is just one power supply with multiple output voltage. It's approved for the industrial application and medical application. And lastly, we go over the water cooling. And water cooling, we introduced that we have three different series: PHP, UHP, SHP, that coming with the water cooling, and the application for this, as we mentioned, that data center and high power industrial equipment.
That is great information. And I think the combination of the Meanwell power supplies and Sager's engineering and a complementary product offering, we can come up with complete solutions for our customers that are turnkey.
Thank you both. Once again, that's Karim Baheri from Meanwell and Jim Reiser from Sager Electronics. If you'd like to learn more about Meanwell 3+N products and water-cooled power solutions, click the links in the description or visit Sager.com. And subscribe to our channel to make sure you catch our future videos.